So I'm Ethan Wintherup. I'm a recent Rutgers graduate, and I'll be talking about food and agriculture, a student project on Newark food systems and urban agriculture. So, why study food and agriculture when it comes to a city like Newark? It's hard to grow crops in an environment covered in asphalt and concrete, but the benefits of locally grown produce can't be ignored. Having fresh produce locally grown is not only healthy for the people buying the fruits and vegetables, but it's cheaper, eco-friendly, and more accessible. Buying locally reduces the food miles that go into transporting fruits and vegetables, and reducing transportation costs not only reduces the price of produce, but also the amount of carbon going into the atmosphere from AC and burned gasoline. So having available fresh produce is important in reducing food deserts and food swamps in the Newark area, where many families suffer from food insecurity. Newark's response to food insecurity has been tremendous. As a class, we visited and researched many of Newark's community gardens that grow and harvest fresh produce from the people living there. Community gardens like Rabbit Hole Farms, Swag Project Farms, and Down Bottom Farms. We studied what makes these farms unique in order to better understand how we would continue in our own design thinking. Rabbit Hole Farms, we use as an example of a community hub where people go to volunteer and buy produce. And as a class, we wanted to see how we could expand on the fantastic work already going on in Newark. So we thought about what a community garden is and what it could be. Could it be a place that promotes cooperation, recreation, and education? Or maybe somewhere that promotes and supports local businesses and sells locally made products? Some things we thought about. And Colin designed the University Heights Community Farm, which is designed to fulfill many of the functions that Rabbit Hole Farms does now, but at a larger scale. A community garden and community center that could promote local business as well as host community events and grow produce, featuring a park, pavilion, office space, and farm all rolled into one. He even proposed that the office building could have a tiered green roof for extra raised planter box spaces. You can see that in the section elevation on the right. And here's a render of what those spaces might look like with raised planter beds and people working in that area. And as a class, we also considered whether we could further develop the plants grown in Newark into products like lip balms, soaps, and textiles. Considering the ideas of a circular economy, products can be manufactured and sold within the same community and keep local commerce local. And then we have Emily. She devised the hemp house, which could grow and manufacture hemp and hemp-based products to be sold locally in Newark. Anything from clothes to medicine can be made from hemp, and it could open up an exciting new market in hemp-based products. The hemp house would have a green roof, apartments, office spaces, and even a farmer's market following the Baggruppe model that Kyle talked about yesterday, a German housing model. Many of the community gardens operate separately and are disconnected from one another. Another challenge we faced was how could we connect and maybe even pool resources between some of the community gardens throughout Newark. And here is a proposed food truck route with the goal of distributing food grown at community gardens to the people who need it. Food trucks would take fresh produce to local neighborhoods and population centers to sell fresh produce at food distribution hubs across Newark. The idea was to tie a website, phone app, and free Wi-Fi into this network to keep Newark residents informed on food availability and increase access to this new network. People would be able to track the food trucks and know where they are at any time of the day. They could check what was being sold if there was a shortage of anything. Users would even be able to contribute to the network, like make suggestions for where they think a new food hub should go, what events could be held where, and apply to host their own events at some of these new public hubs, and even have access to new job postings or volunteer opportunities at community gardens throughout Newark. And the idea was, again, to connect people with their food and with their community as much as possible with new technology and new Wi-Fi hotspots even. And not only do people need food, but now more than ever, it's obvious that people need access to the internet. Since the onset of COVID-19 pandemic over a year ago, millions of Americans have been attending school and work online. It became abysmally clear that America was not up to the challenge. Many children could not attend school and fell behind while their parents couldn't go to work simply because their house didn't have internet access. Taking inspiration from Red Hook Wi-Fi in New York, I propose setting up free Wi-Fi hotspots at some of these food distribution hubs across Newark that anyone can use. I attached a link to the website mockup that I did here that would help connect the people of Newark to some of these community gardens. And then the website and Wi-Fi routers could be maintained and managed by a new NGO. I thought about the Newark Wi-Fi Initiative as a name. It would be a volunteer-based program to teach young adults or anyone willing to learn how to set up Wi-Fi routers and web pages, funded by food truck sales and supported by some of the local schools and universities. Some of the schools that could have technical knowledge and support would be NGIT, Rutgers, Newark, or even Essex County College. And here on the left is a quick representation of all the parking lots and empty lots in Newark, and there are a ton of them. Now, what if we could use even a handful of these spaces for pop-up mobile markets? We could set up quick and affordable wooden pergolas in all the unused spaces throughout Newark, designed to be permanent or impermanent structures just based on the needs of the city, with maybe some planter boxes in the middle and food trucks around to sell produce. And really the idea was to take back empty land for the people of Newark. These pergola structures could serve as fresh produce markets, flea markets, outside lecture halls, food truck restaurants, and more. With different functions, they aesthetically transform to support solar panels, Wi-Fi routers, or naturally growing vines even. And these spaces are also meant to be reconfigurable as well, being either roadside, L-shaped, or circular to support the different characteristics and different lots in Newark. And it's meant to be comfortable spaces for residents of Newark to enjoy their evening or go shopping. Sitting, tables to eat at, some planter boxes in the center, just nice places. And this leads back to the idea of the circular economy, interconnecting the community with the produce and products made locally, and to promote sustainable living was kind of what we were thinking about in our class. Thank you.
This year's conference was made possible with the support of Host Cities Foundation, the Newark Community Food System, and the Rutgers Landscape Architecture Department. To learn more, visit us at www.sasglocal.com or follow us on our social media outlets.